No longer is Russia fighting Ukraine, but the whole West. Nothing that might even be taken as a sign of dissent is allowed in Russia right now. It's massively early to say Russia's, a dying power.
Evan Gershkovich is not a spy. He is a talented, resourceful, dedicated professional journalist.
He doesn't belong in jail. That's not where he belongs. He belongs in this newsroom.
He's being held hostage, essentially. And through no fault of his own, he's behind bars.
When Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich was detained in Russia in March and charged with espionage, he was simply doing his job. The Journal, his colleagues, and the Biden administration deny the allegation.
It's utter rubbish. Evan was doing what reporters do.
They're detaining this Wall Street Journal reporter.
Let him go.
A 31-year-old American-born journalist with Russian heritage, he has spent more than 5 years covering Russia. He joined the Journal last January, a month before Russia invaded Ukraine.
Evan is an editor's reporter. It's the reporter that you dream about. We knew from the time he joined us last year that we have a winner.
I just remember this incredible excitement about Russia. He was telling me about the books he was reading, get to know the country better. He was incredibly excited about the prospect of reporting from there.
He believes that being on the ground is really important, and we all benefit from that.
Evan's reporting took him across the former Soviet Union, including to the Belarus-Ukraine border, where he was the only American reporter who could see the first wounded Russian forces being taken home. He profiled Russian dissidents and Kremlin supporters alike, and he traveled beyond Moscow to bring readers important information, contributing to WSJ's podcasts and videos along the way.
They are worried, extremely worried about what I think everybody has seen as an increasingly erratic government in Moscow.
So I had the privilege of interviewing Evan for a video about Kazakhstan, and first of all, it was very clear right off the bat that his knowledge of the former Soviet Union was extremely deep. He knew it like the back of his hand.
So when I was in Kazakhstan, I spoke with a lawmaker, and he invoked this Siberian fairy tale. So the story goes that a bear and this chipmunk were friends. One day, this bear was in a really good mood, and it tries to pat the chipmunk on the back. But it still has claws, and it scratched the chipmunk. And that's why why chipmunks now have these 3 stripes on their backs. This parliamentarian's point was that, Kazakhstan will be friends with Russia, but it's still a bear, and they need to watch their backs.
Colleagues who work closely with Evan say he has a deep affection for Russia, and even felt blessed to have accreditation from the Kremlin to report there.
Evan always spoke about his love for Russian culture, tradition, literature, and thought that, as a person who is from a Russian background, he could actually be more effective in telling the Russia story.
There are not many people with the talent and the language skills and the knowledge of Russia and the documents to be able to go there and work there who can do it as well as he can. And he understood this. He understood the great privilege that he has in covering this country.
I mean, everyone will tell you he's just a really kind of fun person to be around. I think that's one of the things that makes him so good at his job, because he's someone that people kind of enjoy being around.
Must have been after midnight, and everywhere was closed. So we just stood on the street talking about what was happening, about our experiences, from 3 generations perhaps of Wall Street Journal Russia coverage, just sharing what we'd seen, how things had changed, how things were the same. And that was a special moment that I remember with Evan.
Reporting on the ground in Russia grew more perilous as the war raged on. And on March 29th, Evan's fellow correspondents knew something was wrong.
After I hadn't heard from him for about 7 hours, I got worried, shot him a message, it didn't go through. And then I reached out to our security team.
The next morning, Evan was seen being escorted from court by Russian officers. He's facing a possible prison sentence of up to 20 years. It's the first time Russia has brought a spy case against an American reporter since the Cold War. On April 2nd, Secretary of State Antony Blinken called his Russian counterpart to demand Evan's release.
I can't even begin to imagine what he must be going through. But he's I think he's really strong mentally and physically. So, I hope he will persevere.
Evan is not the kind of guy who wants to be the story. Evan wants to tell the the story about Russia, about what's happening in Russia. And I can't wait for him to get out and start telling that story again.